No password.
I don't have anything that's left over
Oh,
from
it's
this
the,
afternoon.
I went to the,
It didn't shut off.
I went to the guest. The public, oh, okay. Yeah, public, not the, it's just the public. No, there's no password, it's not, there's a Wi-Fi that's not locked, called not expected it to come. That's where we're going right there. Pledge. Flag. I was told no, but. No, I thought it was coming. Yes, I Okay, good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Town of Shenango public hearing for the land use moratorium. If you please join us and stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Simonis?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Hulbert?
Here.
Mr. Warden?
Here. Okay, communications.
I have some public comment here. Would the board like me to read it for the record?
I can't hear you.
I have some public comment. Would the board like me to read it for the record?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon. My thoughts on the temporary moratorium. I don't see it as punishment for people with good ideas or an abdication of your responsibilities. Rather, it's fulfilling your duty of protecting the community and its residents by temporarily pausing any new projects that do not comply with the town's current codes and regulations. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. In fact, the state supports this type of moratorium. This approach ensures that these regulations moving forward are clear, consistent, and easy to understand, interpret, and apply. These rules should serve the best interests of the entire community rather than favoring individuals or specific groups such as developers. When an individual, group, or business purchases property and are aware that their development plans will require a zoning change, variance, or special use permit going forward, they are taking a gamble that their request will be approved. This becomes a self-created problem as they are knowingly seeking something that is not currently permitted. Perhaps once the comprehensive plan is complete and the moratorium is lifted, their project will no longer require special permissions. If, however, the project still does not align with the updated plan, it may indicate that it should not be approved. A temporary moratorium isn't a punishment for anyone. It's simply a measure being used to ensure everyone is playing by the same clear, consistent rules. I don't believe the moratorium is too broad. It specifically mentions only rezoning requests, special use permits, and area variances, things that currently are not approved under the current town code and its comprehensive plan. All other projects, the majority of them I suspect, would be able to go ahead as normal. There is also the hardship waiver available if someone really feels this is putting undue burdens on them. New York town law says land use and zoning must be consistent with the town's comprehensive plan. Zoning regulations are based on the comprehensive plan. Every time one of the boards grants a variance, etc., it veers away from the current plan. The moratorium only includes these projects. While going over the 12-month mark wouldn't be optimal, it could be very important. If the process takes longer than 12 months, it may indicate that there is an underlying issue, perhaps a lack of information, some concerns or confusion, or a lack of consensus on a specific matter. If that is the case, isn't it even more crucial to take the necessary time to ensure that all information is complete and clear before finalizing the document that will serve as the town's guide for our future? A clear, concise, and up-to-date code should reduce the number of variance requests and streamline the process of approving or disapproving applications. In my effort to educate myself on these issues, I have reviewed the minutes from the Planning Board and Zoning Board over the past 12 months and plan to look at the Town Council minutes next. During my review, I discovered only 2 applications that were not accepted, one by each board. This seems very unbalanced. Additionally, I noticed several comments from board members suggesting that other boards are approving too many applications. There were also remarks about poorly drafted codes, unclear regulations, and inconsistencies in the existing code, which appears illogical. Documentation shows a lack of agreement among the boards regarding what variances should be accepted. However, there seems to be a general consensus that too many approvals are being granted and that the codes need clarification, updates, and a complete rewrite. Considering what New York town law states about zoning and usage decisions needing to be consistent with the comprehensive plan, along with the concerns expressed by various town boards regarding the current code's wording and interpretation, doesn't this expose the town to potential legal challenges? Why continue to operate under these conditions when there is an opportunity to pause, address these issues, and return with a stronger, more consistent framework for decision-making? Implementing a moratorium would allow for community input in the drafting of the comprehensive plan. Community support and confidence that the town is really listening to and considering our points of view is so important. I firmly support the moratorium proposal and hope you will consider this letter as part of the public discussion on the issue. Thank you for your time, effort, and open minds. Terry Moriarty, 12 Brook Ave. Moving on. Hello, everyone. I'm writing to show my support for the proposed land use moratorium. This seems like a timely and common sense measure considering the work being done to update the town's comprehensive plan. I have been particularly concerned with the applications for solar farms. My hope is the development of a new town comprehensive plan gives fair and serious consideration to residential input. Thank you for your service to the town and giving residents this opportunity to comment. Lynn Leidecker, 16 Brook Ave. Subject: in support of a moratorium. To whom it may concern, I support a moratorium on proposed projects requiring a zoning change, variance, or special use permit while the town works to update its comprehensive plan. I strongly oppose the Cipriani Solar Farm proposed at 10 Grandview Drive. Sincerely, Mary Mullaney. To whom it may concern, I support a moratorium on proposed projects requiring a zoning change, variance, or special use permit while the town works to update its comprehensive plan. I strongly oppose the Cipriani solar application from 10 Grandview Drive. Sincerely, Barbara Cipher, 18 Johnson Road. I support the temporary moratorium. I don't support solar farms in residential areas. More time needs to be spent looking into flooding issues. I live on North Morningside Drive. That one is unsigned. To whom it may concern, I support a moratorium on proposed projects requiring a zoning change, variance, or special use permit while the town works to update its comprehensive plan. I strongly oppose all solar farm projects in the town of Shenango that are on residential agricultural land. A better option would be to place these in parking lots, etc. This would provide an additional function of shelter for cars. Sincerely, Michelle Timms, Town of Shenango resident. It seems like the people in the town of Shenango are very passionate about blocking any future solar farms in our area. I am personally against them too because I don't see a great benefit to the community. But if I put my opinions aside for the sake of argument, the moratorium that is being proposed is all-inclusive and seems like it will slow down progress on any other non-solar project proposed within town limits. I don't think we need that. You all know my frustrations on getting rezoning and approval for our pavilion at Giuseppe's Pizza. I can't imagine trying to start something from scratch on any of the vacant lots on Front Street, even under the current processes. We need fine dining within the town. Progress on Front Street, Northgate Plaza has been coming along nicely. Let's keep it and other commercial growth projects within the town moving forward and place a 12-month moratorium on any future solar projects. Matt Dutcher, Red and White Catering, Shenango Bridge, Red and White, 604 River Road. That's all I have.
Okay, we're all set. All right, we're going to go into the public hearing now. Guests shall speak in an orderly fashion, are limited to remarks with 3 timed minutes or less. The speaker shall deliver their comments or concerns in a civil tone and without the use of profanity, personal attacks, or other disruptive behavior, which may result in the offender's removal from the meeting. The speaker shall not be interrupted except for in the matter of urgency. We're going to do 3 minutes, and we're just going to keep it going so we can get everybody through. So ask you to come down here and speak into the microphone. So if anybody would like to speak, we're going to start it now.
Wish there was a light here. Good evening. My name is Margot Hemmedinger. I am a small business owner in the town, and I live at 34 South Morningside Drive. Our Morningside Heights neighborhood is a beautiful, safe, and welcoming community, home to both longtime residents and young families with children. One where you will see neighbors walking, many with dogs, children playing, and friends chatting along our streets on a daily basis, and we want to preserve this way of life. Tonight, I respectfully ask the town board to enact a moratorium on large-scale solar farms in or near residential areas. Most of us support solar power when it's done responsibly and in appropriate locations, but placing an industrial-scale solar facility near homes poses unaddressed risks, including those related to health, flooding, infrastructure, and fire safety, among others. Here are 3 key concerns I feel support this moratorium that are often overlooked. First, community safety. Hyder Park already experiences runoff and periodic flooding. Placing a solar farm on the hillside above it will increase stormwater flow and create wetter, muddier conditions that lead to unsafe fields, a greater risk of falls and injuries, and more cancellations for youth sports and community events that rely on these fields. This directly impacts the health and safety of our children, families, and the many residents who use this park throughout the year. Second, power outages. Our town already struggles with power outages. Large-scale solar projects can create voltage fluctuations and stress an outdated grid, especially during extreme weather. Before any project of this size proceeds, we need written assurance that NYSEG and the developers have coordinated upgrades to modernize the system, ensuring it will be capable of safely handling the additional load. Without that assurance, the project introduces more instability, not less. And finally, fire risks and emergency preparedness. Solar farm fires may be rare, but when they happen, they are complex and dangerous. They require specialized training and equipment that most local fire departments do not currently have. This equipment and training is expensive. Who will absorb these costs, the town or the developers? These fires produce toxic smoke and can spread quickly, forcing nearby residents to evacuate, sometimes without warning or a formal evacuation plan in place. Have the developers provided on-site fire protection plans in coordination with local emergency services? Has the town developed a community evacuation plan specific for solar farm fires? I have found no such documentation on the town's website. A vague promise of future planning is not acceptable. In conclusion, our own Broome County Planning Department, upon its review of both sites, has stated that the projects lack a complete site plan and environmental review, with several issues still unresolved as of June 5th for Morningside Heights and more recently October 9th for River Road. Until developers provide complete documentation and credible safety plans, there is no assurance that the required standards have been met. Until these deficiencies are addressed, approving new projects near our homes and parks would be premature and unsafe. I strongly urge you to enact this moratorium on large-scale solar projects in or near residential areas, including those
Thank you.
already in progress.
3 minutes are up.
My name is Donna Hill. I live in Shenango Shores, right on the border of Morningside Heights in that development, and the town line goes right through my backyard. It is not clear to me the way this moratorium is written, whether or not, as passed as written, it would actually apply to the two projects currently in process, Cipriani and River Road. I just wondered if the board could address that question.
I'm sorry, we can't answer questions. It's your time to speak to the board. And
All right, well then I'm speaking to the board. I think it should be made more clear to everyone in this room whether or not this moratorium as written, if approved, will apply to these two projects. Thank you.
thank you. Is that it?
Good afternoon. My name is Tim Murphy. I live on Four Heights Court, which is adjacent to the hill where the proposed solar farm would be built. And currently they are clearing logs off that land right now and piling them at the end of Wallace Road. And you can see already the mud and the crap coming down the street. And as one of the ladies who preceded me said, that we have kids going around the neighborhood and we have dump trucks, logging trucks coming down the street. My house has lost power 7 times in the last week, and we all have sensitive electronic equipment in our house. Who's going to pay for that? They're dropping trees on the power lines repeatedly. And I didn't have anything prepared, but I didn't want this to go unaddressed, that it's ludicrous to build a solar farm on a slope of a hill behind a residential area and a park, which was previously stated, that we're prone to flooding now. There's a high clay content in the ground. I've been around this property for over 50 years, and like I say, we go through the hardship of flooding periodically, and you got to attribute that to Mother Nature. But to add to the problem, by clearing these trees off the land and putting a runoff where the water's going to come down even worse, like I say, it's just ludicrous. So I would like to beg for you to do what's in the best interest of the residents of the town of Shenango and approve the moratorium and stop this solar farm. Like I say, they're clearing the trees now. Take a drive through Morningside Heights. Go up Wallace Road, and you'll be astounded at what's going on in our beautiful neighborhood. So I plead for you to do the right thing for the residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave Russin, 36, or 32 Johnson Road, I'm sorry. A lot of you have heard me talk before, but in regards to the moratorium, I really trust you guys will do the right thing on that. I'm not worried so much about that as I am the 487. Now, you know that the 487 has to do with the real property tax law. If you opt out of the 487, you have the power to do that. That's your power over the state telling you what to do. You won't have hardly any, you'll knock down 90% of the people that are trying to build solar farms here because they're going to have to pay their fair share of taxes, which they don't do now because most of them want to get in on a pilot program, okay? Payment in lieu of taxes. Might sound like a good thing, but us town people are getting beat while that's happening. You guys can opt out of that, and that's going to ease your burden with what you're going to do on the moratorium. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Russ Hemmedinger. I live at 34 South Morningside Drive. First off, I'd like to offer my congratulations to Mr. Warden on his new role as town supervisor. And I also want to thank the board for the opportunity to speak regarding the proposed moratorium tonight. As some of you may know, I served on the town board for 16 years. I worked closely with the planning board on developing our current comprehensive plan. That plan included several important recommendations, such as consolidating uses within zoning districts, adjusting permitted uses in districts, setbacks, and lot size changes. Simplifying zoning laws by reducing unnecessary zoning classifications were also included. Every step of that process was open, transparent, and involved meaningful public participation. When we last updated the comprehensive plan in 2016, the community survey included questions about solar energy development. The results were very clear. Solar energy development was the highest ranked type of energy development respondents wanted to see in the town. In fact, fewer than 10% opposed solar energy development altogether. But as far as the moratorium goes, my initial reaction was that another moratorium was not necessary. However, after seeing how few of the 2016 comprehensive plan recommendations have been implemented, and after rereading the current solar energy law, I now believe a moratorium is the right course of action. Even if it serves only to review and alter the current solar law, I believe it's worthwhile. That said, I do find it unfortunate that the proposed moratorium is so broad in scope. I don't believe such a measure would be necessary had there been better follow-through on the existing comprehensive plan. As the board moves forward with drafting a new comprehensive plan, I strongly encourage you to update the solar energy law in parallel. Even if those changes are not implemented immediately, preparing them now will allow the town to be proactive rather than reactive in addressing future development issues. Finally, I urge all members of the board to continue working together for the good of the entire community. Serving the local government is both an honor and a responsibility, and I trust you will keep that in mind when considering this moratorium and the new comprehensive plan. And before I close, I'd like to make one quick comment. I'd like to say how encouraging it is to see so many residents engage in this issue. I hope everyone here and those not present continue to stay involved and informed. Please educate yourselves on the issues that matter to you most and share your views with your elected officials. Thank you.
My name is Jerry Michael. I live in Shangle Bridge, so I'm not directly involved with the issue with the Smith Hill Road project. But I have a concern about the moratorium. I've heard comments about it being a general moratorium or being a moratorium specifically having to do with solar development. And I think I can't speak to the need for a moratorium generally speaking, to cover all zoning issues, but it does appear that a moratorium on solar would be appropriate, because I think there's two issues that I'm concerned with that don't seem to be addressed in the proposals that have been up for consideration lately. I've been a master forester volunteer with Cooperative Extension for 30 years now, so I have a concern about the wisdom of cutting down a forest, clear cutting a forest for solar development or for any other reason for that purpose. A forest sequesters carbon, almost a full ton per acre per year. It produces oxygen. It prevents erosion. It purifies the water that drains through it into the aquifer. It's wildlife habitat. In my opinion, the overall environmental benefits of a forest exceed that of a solar farm on the same acreage. That's number one. And so I think there should be a predisposition to look very cautiously at any solar proposal that proposes to cut down a forest. There's lots of other places to put these things. My second concern has to do with specifically with the experience of a solar farm that was installed in the town of Union 2 years ago. The IBM Glen in Endwell is a 105-acre nature preserve, old growth forest that the Waterman Center has been maintaining for public use for about 20 years now. 2 years ago, a solar farm was installed on 40 acres of old growth forest that adjoins the IBM Glen. They cut down 40 acres of big, beautiful, mature oak trees for the most part. They had a responsible engineering firm develop a site plan, and it was approved by all the proper agencies, including the DEC. And yet, despite concerns expressed by the community and by Waterman Center
Time's up.
and others,
Sorry.
anyway, it ended up being a flood.
My name is Allison Negus. I live at 9 Grandview Drive. I had read about the IBM Glen Solar Farm too, and I have not seen a sufficient addressing of the problems that are there to begin with. But also, we have not seen a clear, thorough environmental study where anybody has actually come out from the DEC to look at the property and the neighborhood. We asked for a new independent hydrology study by an out-of-town group to evaluate the drainage issues and the water table issues already in our area and what a solar farm would do to that. And so we haven't seen that. We also have not seen a decommissioning plan for this project, for the project at 10 Grandview Drive, which in the research I've done on other solar projects around the country, the decommissioning plan has not been sufficient, and solar panels, when they degrade and when they're not sufficiently or adequately decommissioned, can cause leakage and problems with the water quality and the soil quality. And I have already seen a significant number of trees coming down. I don't know exactly what that's about, but the privacy and the neighborhood and the wildlife are already significantly disturbed, and I know that the solar farm would magnify and multiply that issue by a lot. So I too request that you support the moratorium. I think it's a great idea, and I think that further tightening of this rules around a solar farm like Vestal has done, around solar projects like Vestal has done, is called for, and I think that I would encourage the moratorium. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Christina Gregory, and I've lived at 35 Johnson Road for 17 years. It's also been in the Gregory family for over 75. My husband is a small business owner in the community, and we're for the moratorium as long as it covers the solar farms that are currently in planning stages. I have small children who enjoy biking to Hyder Park. With all the commercial vehicles going down our roads and flooding concerns, this would be detrimental to our neighborhood. Plus, the GIS slope of the hill is greater than the Army Corps of Engineers recommends for solar farms. This moratorium would be working smarter, not harder, in preventing our neighborhood and environment from being harmed for future generations. It's up to the town board to do its due diligence to protect the taxpayers and their properties. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Allen, and I live at 1220 River Road. I'm here in support of the proposed moratorium, which gives the town board time to review and update our zoning and land use rules. Solar farms highlight why this pause is needed, particularly regarding their approval through special use permits. This temporary review ensures all large-scale development, including projects already underway, fits the town's comprehensive plan and preserves our community's character. Often, solar farms are placed in agricultural zones, not because it's the best fit, because it's easier for developers. Large parcels, cheap land, easy special use permits. While presented as helping farmers, these installations can remove prime farmland from production for decades. Short-term lease income doesn't replace long-term agricultural stability. Our last moratorium likely followed a model from NYSERDA, or county planning offices. That template may not fit our town. We are not heavily agricultural. We are a residential community with rural landscapes people value and want to preserve. Nearby towns have addressed this. Vestal, for example, prohibits commercial solar in agricultural zones, limiting them to industrial and commercial areas. Other municipalities have moved development away from rural neighborhoods into zones better suited for it. Shenango should do the same for thoughtful, planned development. We should also consider environmental and safety factors. Floodplains and wetlands are areas where solar installations could create hazards or worsen drainage issues. Avoid these areas, protect neighbors, protect our infrastructure and waterways, while still allowing solar development in appropriate locations. This moratorium gives the board time to study what works, update our laws, and carefully review current and future projects. While the planning board continues its enforcement role and ensures updates truly fit Shenango's unique character, rather than relying on generic templates. I urge the board to adopt this moratorium. It is a responsible step to ensure land use decisions reflect our community's best interests. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. My name is Jim Brewster, 268 Mary Drive. I do want to make a point to the board tonight, which may sound strange to the other citizens, but I am speaking on behalf of myself as a citizen and no other entity. that I may be affiliated with. Therefore, I'd like to start off with 4 points regarding the moratorium in general. And the first one is, with all deference to Nate, your attorney, I'm questioning whether or not you have a procedural flaw embedded within the law as it's written now. And it could be just that I don't know that this has been done. There was no record of it online to prove my comment here or disprove my comment. But your moratorium is a zoning regulation, so it's my understanding by General Law 239 that you must have it reviewed by Broome County Planning. And the failure to do that can be pretty serious, basically a fatal flaw where the courts could strike down your law immediately, as noted in many cases, but like B&L Development versus the town of Greenfield. So just something for you to hash out, maybe that's already taken care of. I wanted to point that out. My second point is, in the broad sense, the law is too broad and punitive. It effectively usurps the power of not only the zoning board but the planning board, but especially the zoning board, by replacing the statutory criteria for different types of relief with your one test based on a reasonable return and a unique hardship. So in my view, this is essentially for somebody who wants to put up a shed or ask for relief, minor relief, such as an area variance, you are essentially requiring them to meet the burden of what I'll call use variance-like criteria. And also, so that makes the waiver process potentially deficient, highly inaccessible to many residents who may want something small to accomplish, and especially when you couple that with a $500 fee plus consultancy costs. That's just, I think, is an overburden on the community as a whole. And the next kind of a merge with that is it's also overbearance or overbreadth. You specifically cited in there the main 2 points were for large-scale commercial operations. Oh, my time already?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thomas Eldridge, Brotsman Road. I believe there's some misunderstanding here amongst some of the people. This moratorium is not just to stop the solar farm. It is going to stop almost all projects in the town of Shenango. The entire town will be on pause for the entire time of this moratorium. I think if you want to have a solar farm moratorium, another year-long moratorium that ends in just the adoption of New York's solar plan again, have at it. Stopping everything is ludicrous. I don't think this moratorium was directed at the solar farm at all. I think it was directed at stopping other commercial developments in this town. On my time on the planning board here, 4+ years, there's been one commercial development from the ground up in our town, and it is the current storage facility that's being built. 6 repurposes of existing commercial properties. The Burned Dairy, which was a demolition and rebuild. The gas station on Front Street was a repurpose of a repair facility. The car wash, they tore down a restaurant. Severn Brew, they tore down a bug killing place. Taco Bell, they demolished a gas station, and Harbor Freight was a repurpose. There has been no growth in this town, no development, no new commercial, nothing to bring taxes into this town in years. To stop all projects, especially some commercial developments that are coming into this town, is ludicrous. If a town is not growing, it is dying. Thank you.
Anybody else? If you'd like to speak, please come up and be ready to speak so we can get everybody in.
Matt Dutcher, River Road, and formerly of Wallace Road. I thought I was alone in my thoughts, but since the last two gentlemen just brought it up, as was stated in my email to the town board members, I'm all for a solar moratorium, but I don't want to see a complete moratorium that will slow down any of the progress like we just spoke about. The projects on Front Street are coming along nicely, and there's certainly a lot of land and a lot of opportunities for other people. I don't have anything in the works. I'm not trying to push for anything in particular, but I'd like to make sure that it does not slow down any more commercial and possibly industrial progress in the town. We do need to keep the tax base up and bring in some new business whenever we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amelia Smith, 5 Brook Ave. I'm speaking in favor of the moratorium because I think, as somebody else said, it's putting things on pause. It's not forever. It's to give you time. I know you're short-staffed, basically. You need time to do the research, to see, to make sure things are filled out correctly, that things, studies have been done correctly. Things need to be done in the proper order. Criteria needs to be met. The argument against the moratorium mostly seems to consist of people saying, well, we don't want to wait for things. Business can't wait. But the thing is, if a business hasn't encountered any delays, that's extraordinarily lucky. If an accident on the highway prevents a shipment or something gets lost in the mail, or, a computer updates and causes everything to shut down, those are delays. Sometimes those things can be delayed for months. Business can wait. We need to do things the right way. We need to make sure that people are doing things the right way, that you have the time to make your decisions. You don't have, as far as I know, the full board. Maybe as the comprehensive plan gets laid out, things will be changing. The things that are under, that the moratorium would be pausing now might become irrelevant once that's in place. You need the time to figure things out. This is a responsible decision to put things on pause. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak?
Karen O'Brien, East Hill Road. I didn't prepare anything, but I'm 100% against the solar farms. I don't think there's been enough studies on them. We see them popping up all over. I don't know if a lot of people know, but in my research, those panels come from China, yet China does not have any solar farms. When these panels go bad within like 10 years, the landfill will not accept them. You can't bury them, so what's going to happen with them? They're going to pile them up all over the countryside. That's what we're going to have to be seeing. I agree 100% that we need a moratorium on the solar farms. As far as the zoning and the permits, I have an issue with that because I think that's going to take too long, and I think you're going to see a lot of progress in the town go down the hill. We need to be responsible and try to grow the town of Shenango. And I think this moratorium on zoning and permits is going to push us backwards. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Larry Feltham. I live at 7 Jameson Road, and I'm here to speak in favor of you instituting a moratorium. We've been a victim of floods at least 3 times in our house. This is our family house that we've lived in for 50 years. In the 2011 flood, we had 37 inches of water downstairs, and we had to buy a new furnace and a new washer, a new dryer, a new hot water heater. That was a lot of money. And then we had to tear down all the walls downstairs and repurpose where the outlets were, so they wouldn't, if it ever flooded again, that they wouldn't be damaged in electricity. So I'm really concerned because I have not heard a single person come up here and speak in favor of the solar farms. It's everyone has said they would rather you reconsider or postpone it or not institute it at all. And I am totally concerned about the fact that other people might have to go through what we went through when we had a flooding at our house. If we want to sell our house, we have to divulge that to future owners, which we're not interested in selling our house. We love living here. We love the fact that people walk their dogs and are out with their children on their bikes, and we don't want the character of the neighborhood damaged by you having a solar farm. Again, I worry about other residents not having the money to have to repair their houses if there is flooding caused by the solar farm. The fact that it's on land that is shaped so that there'll be dirt and soil that will come down the road, the fact that we keep hearing about trees being cut and being taken out, the fact that NYSEG is up there putting a road in, even though there's nothing there supposedly, makes me really concerned. So I hope you'll reconsider the whole idea of a solar farm, and if not, at least vote for a moratorium for the development of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Kay Debnar. I live at 5 Heights Court, and our property is adjacent to the park. I'll address part of what Larry said. We talked about the cost with the flooding, and it was interesting that you as a board were so concerned about increasing senior citizen health insurance, but you're not even thinking of the cost to the residents of our area that are young families, senior citizens, to have to absorb the cost with the potential flooding of a solar farm. So I am in agreement with the moratorium for the solar farms. And I think it's our community and we need to have it back again. If we talk about the parks, the kids, the people walking, everybody's in jeopardy. And I don't know if any of you have ever walked through our neighborhood or even seen it, but you're welcome to. Thank you.
Hi, Patricia Racine, 43 Wallace Road. My house flooded too. I welcome you to come to my house when it's raining. You can stand out at the road and watch how it streams down. When it's raining, it's just not rain, it's streaming. So flooding will absolutely be an issue, but I'm in favor of the moratorium because we have to look to the future. There's already 3 solar farms in application process right now. And because the state is pro-solar farm, I mean, I didn't grow up in this town, but I moved my young children here because it's so beautiful, because I thought it was such a good town. And I really want to have faith in you guys. I want to trust you. And I want you guys to see the writing on the walls that there's going to be more solar farms. So we need to take a pause. We really need to consider this before the beauty of this area is destroyed, because there's a patch of solar farm here, Patches Solar Farm there. Just driving down, knowing there's one proposed behind the town hall, that beautiful mountain is going to rob this area of one of its best attributes. So it's a beast that's happening right now, and I think the wisest thing to do is to take a minute, figure out how to handle it, how we want to face it. I really think keeping it out of residential areas, out of agriculture, like somebody said before, keeping it commercial, is the wisest way to protect this town. Really, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Susan Erickson, and I live next door to Patricia at 45 Wallace Road. I've lived there for about 13 years now, and I love my neighborhood. It is spectacularly beautiful this time of year, and unfortunately I'm already seeing trees coming down, and I'm seeing logging trucks go by, and I know the project hasn't even started yet. And just witnessing this as I drive home at lunchtime, seeing the landscape already changing is making me very concerned. I have flooded multiple times. We have helped each other out during the floods. There's nothing like meeting your neighbors out in the middle of the street with a dumpster there where you have to take all of your belongings and toss them in the trash, and you ask your neighbors, how are you doing? Are you okay? Do you need anything? And you really can't offer them anything because you're struggling yourself. And I don't want to see this happen again. I don't want to go through this. The last time it happened, I was home by myself. I watched the water as it came down off the hill, and it was the scariest thing ever. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to save my house from this problem. So I've put in a sump pump, I put in a French drain, I had to go buy a generator because when the power goes out, the pumps don't work. So your house gets flooded. So now I have to haul out a generator because I can't afford to buy an expensive generator. I have to haul it out, plug all the pumps in to try to keep things working. Well, I don't know what's going to happen if this solar farm goes through, because I don't know what else I can do to protect my home and to protect my neighbors. And our beautiful neighborhood, I don't want to see it ruined. It's really beautiful. And if you haven't seen it, please come and take a look. It's worth saving, and so if the moratorium is the way to do it, then that's what I feel like we should do. We should put everything on pause, we should take a look at it, but I really do not want to see a solar farm in a residential neighborhood at all. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak?
Good evening. My name's Gary Crowley. I live at 61 John Smith Road, the bottom, with my wife, Carol. I've been resident in town of Shenango since 1989. In 1980, I came to Broome County to start working for NYSEG. I started my electrical career in the generation department over at NYSEG and spent most of my professional life working on various power plants, fossil plants, hydro plants, cogen plants. I've done projects in all of them. So I have a fairly good recognition of the situation of the energy needs of these days. I'm a registered professional engineer in New York. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm kind of in favor of the holding up the, what would you call it? It's flip off the top of my mind. I think we should hold off on solar farms. We do have on our house a 12 kilowatt solar array, and it works very well when the sun shines. Not so much when it's cloudy, not at all when it snows or at night, of course. On an average year, it runs about 12%. That's the capacity factor, basically what it's rated at. And so what, if you put a solar farm in, what's the remaining 88%? Where's that power going to come from? Right now, most of it comes from gas generators, which we want to get rid of the carbon usage for future. We don't have any kids. I worry about youngsters of probably a lot of people here. What's the future going to hold with them with global warming? What other kind of power generation types do we have to look forward to? Coal is gone. It's a very dirty fuel. It's definitely a problem. We don't have geothermal in our area. I would have to say that based on my experience, the future is going to be nuclear. You can basically get, well, let me say this. The normal generation load of Broome County is 170 megawatts a year. That's on average. You can get a, right now they're developing fourth generation nuclear plants that can generate 500 megawatts.
Sir, your time is up.
Oh,
Thank you.
in a 3-acre site. Something to look forward to.
Good evening. My name is Mike Boland. I've been in residence here forever. I've been in front of the town board for multiple projects, per se. I agree in part with the solar moratorium. Good. I think as far as stopping the town from doing anything else is silly to think that you're going to kick a can down the road for everything else in the town. If that was the case and everybody did that, we wouldn't have a town. Now, the idea that somebody can't get a little work done, a variance, a zoning, a little of the other stuff, we've had multiple years where we've put things on hold, and let's be honest, either get it done, it's not that hard. You have the right group, you have smart people, come on, it's the town, and there's no reason why you can't get a couple things done. The moratorium, yes, as far as the solar goes, but just to wad everything into one package, silly, and you guys know better. So I'm in for the solar, but I'm a zero for the rest of it because I just think it's going to hurt everybody in the town of Shenango in the long run. Thank you.
Anybody? Last call. Come on down.
Hi, my name is Barbara Seifer. I live at 18 Johnson Road. And I just want to say that I am for a moratorium on solar. I think that you need to rethink a lot of the installation locations that you're thinking of, and they're irresponsible. Don't put them next to neighborhoods. Don't put them in flood zones. There's a lot of things to consider here. So I just think that you really should step back and think about how you want to approach this. I know that I live on Johnson Road. We don't want it in our neighborhood for many, many reasons. We've been coming for months to the planning board. And I just think that to call it green energy is kind of an irony if you're going to ruin the landscaping to do it. So there are appropriate places to put solar. It's not on a hillside cutting down all the trees. It is not in an open field. I firmly believe that we have enough places around here that could accommodate a solar complex. It's an industrial type thing, so don't put it in residential areas. And you can put it on top of parking garages. You can put it on top of the Northgate Plaza. You can put it in a, you know, those are the more appropriate places. They already are commercial and they already don't look good. Solar installations are not a beautiful thing to look at. So that's just my opinion. Thanks for listening.
Hi, my name is Susan Thomas. I live on Johnson Road in the Morningside Heights area. I agree with Barbara as far as there are better places. I mean, I moved to this area 5 years ago, and we've had 5 major weather type events. We've had an ice storm, we had a flood in 2021, we had a 42-inch snowstorm, and we just recently had that hailstorm, which I'm still recovering from. Never knew when I moved into the neighborhood there were no storm sewers. So when I came home in 2021 during that rainstorm, water is just a river going down the road. And my property survived that, but it didn't survive the blocked drain pipe that the creek was blocked, and I ended up getting 8 inches with 3 pumps going of water in my basement. I bought the house from somebody I had known, God rest her soul, she passed away, and her parents had owned the house for 25 years and had one incident, and she's like, well, they fixed the problem. Well, apparently the town got money to address it, but a couple of people did not want their yards dug up, so it was lapsed. I sat through a 3-hour meeting regarding that while they were trying to draft a letter to our neighborhood as to why they let that grant lapse. There are better places. I'm not against solar totally. Have thought about putting it on my roof before this hailstorm, was talking with somebody, but this gentleman, or these gentlemen that own this property, have received tax credits for the past, I think it's like 15 years, to reforest that area. How environmentally conscious is it to tear all that down now? I mean, there are programs continuing to go on within the state with trying to drive reforestation, because we need that. We need those roots in the soil to hold the soil. Our soil isn't really capable. It runs off. We've got a lot of rock, a lot of shale. There are better places, like she said, parking lots. I don't even have a problem. I have horses that I board, and part of the area I used to ride in next to the airport is now a big solar farm. But there's no homes around there, and it's a pretty level place. And it was all, there wasn't any place that was gonna run off and destroy somebody's property. Our homes are investments. Like, I have a pretty modest investment, but that house is my investment. And I have PTSD anytime it rains down. Adding that, I mean, part of the reason why I moved to that neighborhood was because you're close to things, but you still have the beauty around you of the hillside and all that. I don't know. I'm really kind of crushed. I don't know what, I mean, I came from Owego, and they've kind of put a moratorium on them because there's so much more that needs to be done. These companies get sold.
Your time's up.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Kathy Smith from 5 Brook Ave. I think the moratorium would be a good idea because the board is missing some members, and I think we need everybody there so they can do their research on everything, the rezoning. If you need a shorter moratorium that everybody's, upset that it's going to stop everything, make it a little bit shorter maybe so that everybody can, have their say and do their research and, just be informed about everything. So, thank you.
Thank you. we have to keep it open until 6:30. We just really want to give everybody an opportunity to speak. So we're still open. If anybody would like to come up and speak.
You can't do that. Let her speak.
Good evening. My name is Alex Mendoza. I live in Stearns Road. I grew up in my home. My father built the home in 1950. We were one of the first homes on Stearns Road. This is very personal to me. My parents passed away, and my husband and I recently moved back into my family home. I grew up there as a child. I played at Hyder Park. I walked the streets. I ride my bike. And I can't stand the thought of this little neighborhood that I grew up in, that I see children and families being raised and coming back to, being annihilated with a solar farm. It can't happen. Our little hillside cannot support this solar farm, as you've heard from many residents in this area. They've been flooded multiple times, and I really want you to take consideration to the moratorium for the solar farms. And in reading the Town of Shenango's general mission statement, it is to provide our citizens with the highest quality of service and to uphold and enforce codes and standards established to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of the residents, business owners, and visitors. Please stand by your mission statement and help our residents and fight this solar farm for coming to our area. Thank you.
We're still open. Anybody like to speak?
So again, my name's Susan Thomas at Johnson Road. My other concern is these companies constantly change ownership. They're always flowing. So even if a study's done to set up retention ponds, which to me scare me because again, groundwater, but who's gonna maintain that? Like if the field, once it goes defunct or once they transfer power, ownership, who's gonna ensure? We need to make sure that we have things in place to make sure these are maintained for the long term, for decades, not just a short, company coming in here and they're coming up with this grand plan. We need to make sure that those ponds are going to be taken care of, that, and again, I personally hope it doesn't even come to that, but I think a lot more research needs to be done. Those panels aren't really environmentally friendly. If you think about it in the long term, you've got people over in China, there's probably child labor. They're not as environmentally and socially friendly as they should be. So that's my last 2 cents, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave Russin, one more time. I just want to address everybody here in the audience and let you know we do have a vacancy on the board. And it's incumbent with all the people here and any of your friends. Go down to Town Hall, get an application, and get on the board. And that's how we're going to be represented. That's all I want to say. But that's important.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Bodick. I'm here tonight to voice my support for the solar moratorium. These projects are not farms, and they shouldn't be treated as such. They are industrial facilities that bring zero benefit to this town. We've had a moratorium on solar before, and since then we've had no real improvement to our situation. I'm asking the board this time to make the appropriate changes to truly benefit the town and its residents. We need you to block for us. That being said, I'm not in favor of a town-wide moratorium. I believe we should allow the comprehensive plan to move forward as it's currently contracted to do, without manipulation. The new comprehensive plan will be completed in the next year to a year and a half. Let's see what comes of it and make the changes on the indifferences. There are many issues facing the town, and a lot of them are financial. Let's focus on keeping the town strong, open to fresh ideas, being fiscally responsible, and continued commitment to improving the place we all care so much about. Thank you.
Anybody? More comments? Still time.
Joseph Wallach, 48 North Morningside Drive. My property is right across from Grandview Drive where these trucks and everything will be coming down. What you just recently saw for some in the neighborhood was a logging company on a private property, 15 acres. He had 90 trees taken down. 90 trees equaled about 10 logging trucks, roughly, when I asked the gentleman that was logging. So that's what that came from. The moratorium should be against solar farms and their destruction of the properties that occur and around the neighborhoods or in anywhere. As to stopping development in the town of Shenango as far as businesses are concerned, we should not stop that from occurring. Like Mr. Eldridge said, there has been a lot of development done recently in repurposing and redoing of various areas. We need to do that to increase our taxes. We can't have Dollar Generals popping up and think they're going to be the save everything. Okay, there are areas in which we can develop responsibly for businesses, but we need to be smart about it. Solar farms, yes, the moratorium should kill them. Unfortunately, I think the 3 that are already in process, this will not stop, which I feel is a bad thing. But for any future plans, I think it should stop them until somebody can come up with a better way to do it. Not put them in a neighborhood, not put them next to a school, not put them out on somewhere that is an eyesore, like Glenwood Ave that you can see from the highway, or above the town of Shenango Forks, above a Dollar General, you can see this huge one. They become real ugly. I wish I could have had time to project, giving you guys a little picture of all the stuff that's gone, that would go on when they come through and wipe everything out, because that's what's going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. We're open for another 20 minutes. So if you'd like to speak.
Do we get to go a second time if we want to? Okay. I'd like to point out that everybody who is specifying the moratorium is for solar farms. I think we need to recall that, you know, the solar farms might not be the worst thing that the moratorium is stopping. You know, it could start with solar farms, but, you know, if they clear the land and say, oh, it's just for solar, you get commercial all up in there and the trees are still gone. If you know, specify the moratorium is only stopping one particular thing, then the space is still there. The space is still available. Somebody's going to take advantage of that and put something else in there. And then you still have no trees. The environment is still ruined. So you need to, you know, I know everybody wants more business, and we do need more business, again, responsibly, which is what the moratorium would do. But, you know, again, it's asking you to wait. 6 months or however long it takes is not going to make that much of a difference. Maybe a couple buildings could be built in that time, but it's not enough to make that much of a difference in the whole community. But it could stop something that would be started. Thank you.
Good evening, Luke Tokars, Brooks Road. I will only come up once, I swear, not 3 times. I want to echo something that was said earlier in the way that the town has been operated and ran for years, and obviously there's been very little change in that. I think a moratorium on solar is a good thing. There's a lot of people in this room that are going to suffer from that specific project that we're all here talking about. I think every single person that's came up, I don't think I've heard one person say, I want that solar farm. So think about that. I think that's a very clear statement that people have made. Secondly, the thing I want to touch on is the way that the town's been ran for years and years and years has been, and Mr. Eldridge said this earlier, through these special uses, through these permits, through these reoccupancies of existing commercial properties. Not only that, but things with variances, use variances. So if we want to make progress in the town, you cannot put a moratorium on that, or else there will be nothing commercially done in this town until that plan is done. Make the plan, see it through. Do not put a moratorium on everything. Put the moratorium where the people want it, which is solar. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Katie Edwards, and I'm a resident of the town of Shenango. I'm here tonight to urge the board to reenact a moratorium on large-scale solar projects until we can ensure that all such developments truly align with our comprehensive plan and local law number 6, renewable energy systems. Our 2016 comprehensive plan calls for ordered and integrated development that protects residential quality, slope stability, and water resources. It specifically warns that steep forested hillsides, wetlands, and flood-prone valleys must be protected from disruptive uses. Yet the proposed Cipriani solar farm on Grandview Drive would clear mature forests on exactly that kind of slope, directly above established neighborhoods, creating serious runoff, erosion, and flooding risks for homes below. Our neighborhood on Heights Court lies within the lower Shenango River watershed. These upland forests naturally filter and slow stormwater before it reaches the river valley. Removing that canopy increases both water velocity and sediment flow, threatening downstream drainage infrastructure and private property. Local law number 6, 2023 recognizes these hazards. It requires that a large-scale solar farm energy system undergo rigorous review for stormwater, noise, decommissioning, and visual buffering, and that they meet appropriate siting and screening standards. Reenacting a moratorium ensures these safeguards are fully applied before irreversible clearing begins. The economic fairness concern is equally serious. When the town repealed its opt-out from the real property tax law 487, developers gained a full property and school tax exemption, shifting infrastructure and emergency service costs to homeowners for 15 years. Meanwhile, the same parcel has long received forest tax law 480A private forest exemptions. Tax breaks intended to conserve forest, not to subsidize destruction. That's a double benefit for developers and owners at the expense of taxpayers. Adding to that imbalance, under New York State Law 1115, the purchase and installation of solar panels, racking, and related equipment are exempt from state and local sales tax. That means no sales tax revenue for Broome County or the town of Shenango, even if these multi-million-dollar projects consume local resources and roads during construction. Once built, they require minimal maintenance and virtually no on-site staff, providing no brick and mortar jobs, no retail traffic, and no lasting economic stimulus to our community. In effect, we are giving away tax revenue and land use for outsiders' developers' profit. Beyond the single site, several adjacent properties on the same hillside are now being cleared or surveyed for additional solar projects. Together, these efforts would eliminate tens of acres of continuous forest, fragmenting habitat for bats, songbirds, raptors that define our community's rural character. They also bring heavy logging trucks into narrow residential roads, creating noise, safety issues, and road surface damage that our neighborhood should not have to absorb. Wildlife does not respect town boundaries, does not respect county boundaries. We're talking about town of Dickinson and town of Shenango, immediately adjacent to each other. Thank you.
Thank you. One last thing to say. Everything we've heard tonight from the audience holds true. And I want you to keep in mind that this, all they're talking about, is prior to a proposed solar farm. This is what we've got now. You can only imagine what's going to happen if that ever goes through. Thank you.
Allison Negus. I just have one more comment too. Although Cipriani has ensured that our property values will not suffer from having a solar farm on our hill, I call me skeptical, but I have a hard time believing that. And in studies across the country, residential areas where solar farms have been put, have shown that property values have reduced significantly. And we already pay some of the highest taxes in the area. And if our property values go down, I'm not sure our taxes would go down. And my family's been in that house for 60 years. And it means a lot to me too. And seeing the destruction of the trees already that are on private property supposedly has already reduced the look and the feel of the neighborhood and the wildlife and the feeling of it being a special area. So damaging it further can only move people out of the area, and that's going to impact the tax base also. So I think that should be taken into consideration.
Hi, I'm Mickey Abbey. I live on the top of Wallace Road and North Morningside. I want to say that I am against the moratorium. I am against the solar farm being in our neighborhood. I live on that private property that neighbors are talking about. It is only for getting rid of dead trees after the tornado and removing some just for health of the woods. But it has nothing to do with this solar farm. We're totally against having a solar farm in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. We got 9 more minutes, so anybody would like to speak? We advertised the public hearing to 6:30 for the last person speaking after 6, so everybody would be heard. So we have to leave it open till 6:30. We'll leave it open afterwards till the next meeting. We gotta wait till 6:30 before we can. I think we'll talk about that at 6:30. Can we talk about it now, or we gotta wait till 6:30? Wait till the public hearing, okay, we're gonna wait till 6:30.
Not great at public speaking, but I am a woman. I can talk all day. So, hello. Welcome back. It's me. I live on Wallace Road. It's the best road in the neighborhood. What can I say? Tons of wildlife, whatever. Respectfully, hope I say this right without ruffling feathers, I think we can go a year without another gas station. I think we can go another year without another fast food restaurant if that ensures that the nature, the beauty, the safety, the environment is protected and that the laws are thoughtfully redone, reconsidered, proper studies are done. If it's for the protection of our town, my town, I told you, I'm not from here. Ooh, people let me know I'm not from here. It's so weird. But this is my home. I've adopted you all. Deal with it. I love this place. My kids are proudly born and bred here. So I will fight for it. I will. Man, we're paying the taxes. We're paying those taxes. They're rough. We're paying those just so we can be here, be in the beauty, be in this wonderful place where it's just enough business but not too much, because I don't want to be Vestal Parkway. I go there once a week. I'm done with that. So I'm for the moratorium because I think it's worth the time. It's worth the time investment to ensure that this precious treasure that we have, everybody wants to move here. How fast do houses go up for sale? Which will change if there's solar farms popping up everywhere. If every time you take a corner there's another solar farm, we're gonna lose that appeal. Gone. So right now everybody wants to live here. There's a reason for it. It's the beauty, it's the convenience, and it's good right now. We can wait a year. That's my humble opinion. So someone else get up and talk. We got minutes. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Taylor Robinson. I live on 1469 River Road. I just want to reiterate some other land use concerns that have been brought up, and also bring up another one. Construction development for a lot of these jobs, you're going to see, as stated prior, deforestation is going to be a huge concern. To go with that, that's going to be a major loss of habitat for many species. Bats, bees, birds, you name it, probably going to lose the habitat for it, which is going to push those animals into other areas. Deer are going to be a big concern. Now that they don't have the forest habitats to live in, they're going to be more seen on the roadways. That's going to cause more injuries and more accidents because they're going to be in the roads. You're going to see loss of habitat for pollinators, such as bees and bats. We're already seeing it with butterflies going down the hill, and monarch butterflies are very close to being put on the endangered species list. So you're going to see decline for bats and bees. Bats are already on there and are heavily protected in New York State as it is. Another concern that has not been brought up that I've heard so far is the spread of invasive species. Construction projects are some of the largest spreaders of invasive species, which are prevalent across this entire state and our area. See it all over the place. I'm in a unique position with my occupation where I study this, and I do surveys and go out and see where the invasive species are in our area. They're all over. You're going to see knotweed, Phragmites, mugwort, you name it, it's going to be around. That's not including just plants. That's going to be including animals and other species that we don't want in the area that are going to be spread because of these deforestation and the development of these areas via solar and other stuff. Moratorium in these cases to help stop with the deforestation and help control our land use development so it's done properly, correctly, with correct environmental and land use ideas in mind is needed and should be considered heavily. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a short comment. I got up here and I was nervous and I misspoke. So I want to make sure that it's clear that I am for the moratorium. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we are going to stop the public hearing and move on to, well, I guess we should answer some questions. Do you want to answer the 239?
Yep, so the 239 was sent in because of the date when the board acted to set the public hearing. The full 30 days was never going to be possible to provide the county as of tonight's meeting, so we knew that we might have to hold over the public hearing to a subsequent meeting if the county did not give their comments back in time by this evening. The county has not done so. They've indicated that they'll be providing it probably right around the 30-day mark, which is their right. That'll be prior to the next board meeting in November, at November 12th. So I would suggest, to the extent the board is continuing to look at approving the moratorium as drafted to cover the special use permits, area variances, and zoning variances, then you hold over the public hearing to that date. If you're choosing to do something different, as the public has, I think, expressed to some extent, we can have a conversation about options for that.
Okay.
Nate, when specifically was the date that was submitted? Nate, when was the date that was submitted?
It looks like it was October 8th.
And what's the process for the 239 review as far as when it comes back? What's the process that the board has to follow once that is or isn't received, because even if it's not received within the 30 days, I mean, all of that.
Yeah, so if the county has by statute 30 days to respond, if they do not respond, by the 30-day mark, then the municipality is able to move forward, regardless of the county's comments. If the county does respond within that 30-day period, of course, then you can take action earlier than the expiration of the 30 days. It's just one of those, they have this right, a full 30 days to respond. As Mr. Brewster noted, if we act prior to the county providing its comments or the 30-day period expiring, whichever comes first, then that can be a procedural issue with adoption of anything subject to 239 review. Once it gets back, depending on the county's comment, if they find that there's a...
Sorry, I don't understand.
You and everybody else. So if the Siri blowing me in. If the county recommends or it finds that there's an intra-community, meaning town-to-town or county-wide impact, and recommends modification or denial of the action, then that would trigger a supermajority vote by the town board. The town board is when full 5 members. The fact that you are down a member does not change the supermajority requirement. So that would actually require 4 people to vote to override the county's comment or, rejection or modification recommendation. We're not there yet, so we don't know what the county will necessarily do, but that's just kind of the process.
And what's the issue with voting before the 239 if there is a supermajority?
I understand your thought process there. I can't say that I've
It's just
researched.
a question, that's all it is.
Yeah,
Just for process.
I can't say that I've researched. I understand your logic there, right? If we have a supermajority, then why do we need to wait for the 239 county comments? It's been noted as a procedural defect that just strikes at the heart of the issue when the board is taking action. There are plenty of cases out there where the board has acted prior to the county getting its time period and the case has been overturned. I've not looked to see if that's been changed for a supermajority vote or not. I'm inclined to say wait.
It wasn't a suggestion, it was just to run through all the options.
Okay, any other discussion by the board?
Just as far as some of the, there were some questions that were brought up that we probably should at least address. One is in the process of the way that this is written, there was a question about what does it affect and when does it affect? And the way that it is written, it would stop any application that is in progress or that has already been applied, that a decision has not already been made for. That was one question. I just wanted to make sure we went through that. The 239 was the other issue. The other portion of it is the just what's before the board is the moratorium for the comprehensive plan issues, the way that it is. Just with that. Oh. Just with the way that the proposed local law is, it changes to this when we do actually take a vote on it, if it's going to be at the next meeting or not, then material changes to this negate this. That's all.
Okay.
So I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and your participation in our community. I am a lifelong resident of the town of Shenango, and this place has been great to me. I am intimately familiar with the neighborhood. I have actually mowed Hyder Park as a kid, had many friends that lived up and down through those neighborhoods. I am not in favor of a moratorium that is as broad as it is written. So tonight, Mr. Supervisor, I would like to make a motion on a moratorium for solar projects so that we may have time to amend our law. I've been corrected that the motion would be for a moratorium on solar projects and so we could move forward to amend the law. I still have this messed up, please.
So it would be, I think, a motion to direct me as the attorney for the town to draft a moratorium on solar, to present that to the town board, to schedule a public hearing, to do the 239 review on just the solar moratorium. We can't actually adopt a moratorium tonight on just solar.
What he said.
Before we get into that, we really need to address the issue that's on the table, and we've got an open hearing that hasn't been tabled or postponed or closed. So I think that procedural-wise, we need to table this until the November 12th meeting, to table the...
Well, then then let me make a motion to close the public hearing on the moratorium that is before us.
I think just table it until the next meeting instead of closing it.
So I think that the board has a few options, right? So if the board would like to consider moving forward on the broader moratorium, if you want to potentially make a positive approval of that, then yes, you will need to keep the public hearing open until the November 12th meeting to get the 239 comments back. I'm not sure, and I'll let Jay explain for himself, but if Jay's thought is, I don't want to do that moratorium, so I just want to close that public hearing and take no action on it to approve it. Maybe Jay plans on not approving that one because he's proposing a different type of moratorium. Then that would be fine also. It just means that we're not going to have any more comments from the public on the broad moratorium, and then there won't be an action to approve that one at this point.
I think procedure-wise, I think if he wants to make a motion, we're in an open public meeting here. If he wants to make a motion and somebody wants to second it, that can be done. I don't see where that is out of procedure.
Only that we're in a public hearing for what's being discussed tonight. Afterwards, absolutely, that's not the issue.
Yeah, Kevin, just to reiterate, right? To Gene's point, we're in the hearing. Jay's motion was to close it, though. I haven't heard a second.
I second.
Discussion.
I just think it should be held open until it goes through the process. We get the 239 review and then have.
That's not going to change my position at all. I'm not going to be in favor of voting for that moratorium as it's written.
And I have to agree with Jay on this, that everybody that spoke, almost everybody, the majority of people that spoke were for a solar farm moratorium, not all-inclusive moratorium.
I think waiting on this is just delaying it.
And I agree. I think we need to move forward with a solar moratorium. That's what the people spoke for.
I think I've been fairly consistent on the subject, so I'm not going to repeat what these two guys said, so I agree with you.
Any other discussion?
I have none.
None.
None. None. Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Simonis. So how do we vote on this?
closing the public hearing.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
No.
Mr. Warden?
Aye. The public hearing is closed for the all-inclusive or for the moratorium, land use moratorium.
So I'll make a motion to direct town council to draft a law for a solar moratorium to be presented at Wednesday's meeting? Too soon? As soon as possible.
I second.
Okay, discussion?
None.
I just want to remind the board that when we had the discussion about the issue with the uses for the moratorium, the very specific issue of a single process or a single type of work was a big legal challenge for the board to uphold. So I just want to make sure that the attention is put together when that gets drafted, that we're protected with that, because that could be very, very easily construed as being biased and specific against one utility or one process. So
Yeah, I think it's a
let's
great
keep that
point.
in mind.
So I would discuss that the solar moratorium that I'd be interested in, it would be it has nothing to do with the comprehensive plan. It would have to do with what is going on now in the 487 that many of the people have talked about, and that the planning board voting for the special permit on it. I think it should come to the town board to vote on that special permit. I think we answer to the public. You vote for us. We should vote on that. So, I would like to see that. I would like to see that, us to discuss that and work on something like that.
Yeah, and Kevin, you know, I certainly recognize why the public is here right now, right? There's a couple projects pending that are driving particular interest, but I think through the thread that I've heard from most everybody is it's not, you know, it's about those two projects maybe today, but it's also about what about tomorrow, the week after, a year from now? Is this the right solar law for the town in light of everything? Because there's potential future developments. The town is large. There's lots of large parcels of land. Maybe there's places in the town that this could be appropriate, but that the town board, I think the message is, should reconsider what it's got so that it can tailor it better to what the community expects and needs. And so there is the bigger picture, which is, to me, the most important piece. You know, I understand concern immediate, but that's the view that I think is the right approach to take when considering adopting something like this.
Any further discussion?
Yes, and I too have reviewed the law and have a number of suggestions that I will forward to council for consideration. And many of them have been echoed here tonight. But I have gone through it extensively, and I do believe that without amendment in our law, we will be continually subjugated to these solar fields. And they're not, just because it goes to agricultural land doesn't make it a good use. I do understand that there are properties out there where these could be advantageous, but to have no benefit to the town and to just put them to say in agricultural lands next to a park or deep into neighborhoods is irresponsible. And we do need to make that amendment.
Any more discussion?
I have none.
I have none.
None? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Warden?
Aye. Okay. Does the board have any other further discussion?
I have none.
None.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.